March of the Machine is here, and today we are doing a deck tech focusing on a brand new card, Rona Herald of Invasion. It is a combo deck, and it is awesome. I am a super big fan of this deck. This specific list comes from YouTuber Tandy, and I'm super stoked to get into this, to play it, and to talk about it today. So let's take a look. What in the world is Rona Herald of Invasion? Well, it might just be a little innocuous 1/3 for 2. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, untap Rona, and then it has a couple other abilities, but wait, there's more. Tap it, draw a card, then discard a card, and then you can transform it for 6 mana, 5, and a Phyrexian black. So you don't need black, and then it flips into a big old beater that we don't even really need to talk about because it's not relevant to the combo. But it combos with Retraction Helix, which is an instant that says until the end of the turn, target creature gains, tap it, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So that combos both of those with Mox Amber. And of course, Mox Amber is the legendary artifact for 0 mana. Add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. So the combo, if you're not getting it, is Rona plus Mox Amber. Use Retraction Helix to target Rona. Then you can tap it to return Mox Amber to hand, play Mox Amber. It'll untap Rona, and you can then make infinite blue mana. Well, what the heck are we doing with infinite blue mana? Well, things get a lot more interesting when we have Tyvar Jubilant Brawler on the battlefield, because this card lets you not only have infinite mana, but it lets you mill your entire deck. So why would we want to do that? Well, what's the win condition? That might be what you're asking. Oh, yes, it's Diligent Excavator. It's a 2 mana 1/3. Whenever you cast a historic spell, target player mills 2 cards. So basically what you're going to do is you are going to have Rona, Mox Amber, Retraction Helix, the whole thing going. It sounds like it would be really hard to do, but in practice, it's super duper easy. You can generate infinite mana, or you can have Tyvar on the battlefield. Then you can start bouncing Tyvar back to your hand with Rona, casting it again off the mana that you generated off of Mox Amber, mill yourself, return Diligent Excavator, and eventually you are going to draw your entire deck, or mill your entire deck, and play Diligent Excavator, and then you will start just casting Mox Ambers to trigger Diligent Excavator to mill your opponent 2 every single time. But let's take a look. That's the combo. Let's take a look at the rest of the deck. In the one spot, we have 4 Consider. Of course, this is a nice way to fill our graveyard, to find our combo. We are playing Treasure Cruise, but Consider is a great way to find our combo pieces. We are playing Spell Pierce, which is a great way to protect your 2-drops and all your combo pieces. Fatal Push to get rid of any problematic creatures, like literally any creature that wants to interact with this deck is under 4 mana. So, and typically, since we are bouncing Mox Amber to our hand and such, we will always have Revolt when we need it. That's the goal, at least. Then we have Thoughtseize. Of course, we want to be proactive and Thoughtseize any removal spells for our Ronas, any counter spells against those pesky control decks. We have 2 Diligent Excavators. You don't need much more than that because you're going to find it with Tyvar eventually. And drawing it naturally is fine, too. So then we have Jace Vryn's Prodigy. Jace Vryn's Prodigy is a Merfolk Looter that flips into a Planeswalker. It's just really good value. You can have turns where you double Thoughtseize or get a creature that's being pesky out of the way. Jace is great, and your graveyard should be pretty chunky by the time you cast it. Then, of course, we said we have Tyvar Jubilant Brawler right here. This card, again, is part of the engine. It is not necessary, but it is nice to have when you're going off. And then, of course, as I said, 3 Treasure Cruise, because our graveyard is going to be stocked Looking at the mana base, you can check it out there, but we're playing Mana Confluence, 1 Otawara as our utility land, and then just some bug-colored lands. Moving on to the sideboard, we've got 2 Duress, just basically Thoughtseizes, copy 5 and 6. Ray of Enfeeblement, this is great against mono-white humans. And Greasefang, just a 1-mana way to get rid of it at instant speed. Cankerbloom, just an excellent way to get rid of artifacts and enchantments. And you can even proliferate with Tyvar if you need to. Mystical Dispute comes in against any blue deck, control, or mono-green Devotion deck. Witch's Vengeance is great. Now, I will say Witch's Vengeance does turn off Jengatha. So if you bring in Witch's Vengeance, you cannot have Jengatha as companion. However, oftentimes, you won't need it in the matchups that you're bringing it in. Now, one thing to note is this will kill your Rona, your Diligent Excavator, and your Jace if you name humans. So any other, if you're playing against elves, or rogues, anything that isn't human, this will be great against. And then Jengatha, because it's basically free, and there's turns where you can generate infinite blue mana, have a green mana available, cast Jengatha, and just have a big old beater. And those are typically the same games where you're flipping Rona into the backside. So Rona, the Tolarian Obliterator, says whenever a source deals damage to Rona, that source's controller exiles a card from their hand at random. If that's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield under your control. Otherwise, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you get to flip this thing and start bashing with it, oh, and it's a 5/5. Very, very good. Rona Tolarian Obliterator. Very similar to Phyrexian Obliterator, but it's a hand instead. So, yeah, this is the deck. This deck looks awesome. I've seen it played, and if you're looking for a deck that you want to play, this looks like Kethis 2.0 or Inverter 2.0. And remember how good Inverter was? Well, the card's banned now. So this deck can win on turn 3, and it has late game staying potential. I'm super stoked to get to play this. I love these kind of combo decks. But what do you think? Is this going to be a meta-defining deck, or is this just a flash in the pan? I personally believe this thing has what it takes to potentially be an excellent deck, tier 1 deck in the format. Now, obviously, these numbers are able to change. We can move numbers around here and there and add cards if we play it and it ends up, maybe Treasure Cruise isn't as good as we think it is. But yeah, let me know. If you want to chop it up with me elsewhere, hit me up on Twitter at LessAlex. I stream weekdays over on twitch.tv/LessAlex. Weekdays, 9 a.m. over there. And join the Discord. And if you'd like to support the content directly, head on over to patreon.com/LessAlex. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, comment down below. What do you think about this deck? And until the next time, I will catch you all on the flippy flop. Adios.